How's it going, everyone? Hopefully doing well. Welcome back to another video of my mods and settings. Now, in this video, I'm hopefully going to resolve any questions that you have to do with my mods and settings. And it's in a little bit of a more joyful mood because when I last made this video, I was so tired. I made my last video on New Year's Day and I was destroyed. Like, it was bad. Anyway, hopefully I can clear everything up in this video for you, so let's get straight into it. First things first, go to wgmods.net. No matter if you're on EU, NA, RU, doesn't matter. Go to wgmods.net and you can find all the mods that are completely legal in World of Tanks. All of the mods on here should have been vetted by Wargaming before they can be uploaded and put onto this website. So every single mod that is in this website is legal. Even the mod packs which contain mods within them have been vetted by Wargaming. Now, when you do get onto the website, you should see the first mod pack being Aslain's mod pack, which is the one that I use personally. Now, if you don't see Aslain's on here for whatever reason, it's not in the popular mods. Usually it is. Usually it's the first one. But you can go up to the top right, type in Aslain's, and then it should be here that you can download and view. If an update has just come out within the first hour or so, then usually it takes a good few hours, if not a day, for the mod pack to be updated. So don't necessarily think that right on day one all the mods are going to be working, because they don't usually, unless it's a very, very minute update. So usually it's not a good idea to download the very first version of a mod pack, because it could have compatibility issues with the different mods because of the update. So always wait a day before you download a mod pack again, as then some of the issues should be resolved anyway. But once you have it, go and download, yes, the latest version, and download. Once it's downloaded, you'll have a little exe file. Open that up, accept any prompts that pop up saying, or Windows have defended you, or whatever. It's not a virus, trust me, it wouldn't be on the website if it was. The first thing that you'll come to is the language. Obviously, I'm going to choose English and click OK. Then it'll ask you to run again. Yes, just accept it. And then after a little while, you should come to this page here. I advise you to always click Show Preview window, as then you can see what mods you are actually installing. For the most part, they do all have images next to them to show you what the mod actually does. Click Next. And then click Next again. And Next again. And then here is where, if you have installed World of Tanks to a different drive like I have, obviously mine is on the D drive, then you need to locate where your install is. If you don't have any other drives in your system, then you shouldn't really need to worry about this. It should find it automatically. However, if it doesn't, then just click Browse, and then you can go and locate the folder where World of Tanks is installed to. Once you've done that, click Next. And then by default, it will say, usually mod pack by Aslain's and all of this. Just click Reset, because we're going to go completely clean. Now, before we get into actually picking all of our mods, I do want to mention that I will put this in the video description, a link to this file. It contains all my mods that I use. So if you don't want to go through and with me at the same time explain what all the mods do, and you just want all of my mods that I use, it will be here for you to download. And then all that you have to do is use something like this, where you can actually load the config into Aslain's and you're good to go. Everything on this, I'll have this website article linked, as well as my info for the mods, so that you can do that. But for everyone else that wants to do it manually with me, let us begin. I do not use any XVM configs, none. I have tried and I don't like them. I prefer to just go without XVM. So we scroll all the way down until we hit non-XVM mods branch. Now, the first mod that I select is a Jimbo, because it is super easy to identify what tanks you actually have on your team without having the actual icons at the top of the screen. So for example, I can just go and see, like with this image, which is why I said that you should enable the preview. You can see 5 heavy tanks, 1 artillery, 3 TDs, 3 medium tanks, and 3 light tanks. Very, very easy to identify all of the tanks on your team. And to a certain degree, yes, you can do this with the standard one, but it doesn't really identify the tanks very well. Sometimes medium tanks and heavy tanks can be kind of the same color, and it just, instead of trying to look at what the tank is, it's much easier just to identify a color than the name. Scrolling down, we continue, and I enable the free camera because of thumbnails and whatnot for my videos. You don't have to. It's completely optional. It helps out if you want to make pretty thumbnails, but that's about it. Now, just below this is the armor penetration indicator mod. You click this, and as you can see, the left-hand side is your penetration that you have, and the right-hand side is the penetration that you need to go through. So it's useful. It's completely legal. You can use it. I'm not going to use it in this instance, but it might be very, very useful for you. Now, keep scrolling down until you reach hit logs non-XVM. And the first thing that we're going to tick is the gun marks by Lebsha. This is the Marks of Excellence mod that I use. It's beautiful. It looks nice. And it works very, very well. It gets the stats directly from the actual Marks of Excellence website, where they keep track of everything and puts it into the game. So you have pretty accurate, nearly 100% accurate on the actual marks. Nearly. There are some discrepancies with some tanks, but that's just how it is. Scrolling down a little bit more, you can go to the spotting markers, which is the one that I like to use. I prefer these over pretty much every other marker for telling when an enemy has been spotted. If it doesn't have any light at all, so as you can see, it's completely grey, that means that they haven't been spotted at all in the game. If it's green, it means that they are spotted. And if it's orange, it means that they were spotted, but they are now unspotted. I like this. I've used this for years now. It is very, very handy. Another thing to tick is hidden parameters, because it shows you the exact amount of penetration, the min roll, max roll, also the meters a second, the burst radius, as you can see. It's very, very useful. Another thing that is very, very useful if you are doing missions is personal missions auto reset for the 279E. This will automatically reset the mission if you do not get it in the first attempt. So, for example, all of these missions are going to be eligible for the reset. So, for example, I have the mission at the moment where you have to get patrol duty medals, I believe it is. And if you don't do that in the first one, then what's the point of continuing on? Because you might as well just reset it. Once you get it once, then you can see if you get it in the other one for completing the mission in the next 10 games or whatever it is. So it's very, very handy, and it helps you out rather than you having to manually go and reset it every time, especially if you're quite forgetful. Now, alternative vehicle markers is something that I've recently got to use. You can choose the default version, which is kind of the same size as your normal UI, or you can use the slim version or the bigger version, which is what I use. Because I'm on 1440p and I do use a bigger UI, which is another mod that we'll get into in a second, but the standard UI size on 1440p is super nice for actually playing, but it's not super nice for actually watching on mobile phones or in videos because it's too small usually. Unless you're going to whack it up into 4K and you've got a big enough screen to actually watch it on, it's kind of unwatchable. Especially on like streams and stuff like that where you don't have super high bitrate. Yeah, 1440p UI size. I wish there was something that you could actually change in game where you could go to like 1.25% or something like that and it's perfectly scaled. But no one does it because, yeah, it costs time for Wargaming to do that. And it's understandable. So mods like this help out quite a bit with increasing the UI size of the enemy tanks. And that is what I use. The damage numbers will also come above the tank and you get a little icon to the right of it if it's on fire. Now we continue scrolling down into the 6th sense with non-XVM in brackets, and we go 6th sense for 10 seconds. 10 seconds gives you enough time to usually then know roughly that you've been unspotted. If you get spotted by a light tank, I'd recommend you sit there for at least another 2 seconds, because usually they're running designated target, which will make you get spotted for another 2 seconds. And you could be spotted for up to another 6 seconds, but that's very unlikely that people are running that type of equipment and loadout. And we just keep scrolling down, all the way down to some of these mods here. I will include these because, as I said, I want to go through absolutely everything with you. Fog remover You can choose to remove the fog in the game. It can make things a lot nicer for you. Can also increase your FPS. Also, sun glare remover is just a must because the sun glare in this game is pretty awful. It's quite annoying actually. So this will do fog and sun glare. You can choose to do that if you want to. I'm not going to do that. Not in this config at the moment. But they are there and I do sometimes use them. Another thing that I want to point out is the exhaust smoke and wreckage smoke. If you're going for true kind of as much FPS as you can get, I would recommend you choose the fog and sun glare. You remove the exhaust smoke, the wreckage smoke, the show explosion effects. Do not remove the tank hit effects because this is actually quite useful for knowing if someone's been hit without obviously seeing the big damage number. Especially if it's been a ricochet or something like that, you'll be able to see that pretty easily. But with these, what you'll be able to do is turn the effects up all the way so that you can kind of pinpoint what actually happens on the map. The good thing about this, especially the tank hit, is that you will see the smoke come off of the tank. So you know that someone's been hit over to your left or right or whatever. It's nice to have. Also tank destructions and tree motions, and you can even disable the clouds if you want to. Plenty of stuff that you can do here if you want to get a little bit more FPS and be the ultra competitive. But in this video, I am not going to use any of these. Now, unfortunately, at the time of recording this video, my favorite hanger, which is the customization hanger, is not yet updated to 1.16.1. Hopefully it gets updated soon, but usually it is around here in Hangman that you can select it. It's you can see the minimalistic hanger. It's in the line here. When you see it, you'll see customization hanger. So hopefully that gets updated soon because I do really like that hanger. Now, if we keep scrolling down just a little bit more, we can go on to the more helpful mods. Now, the main ones that I use are the Hanger Booster Viewer, the Little Helper Collection. I don't use Battle Hits because I don't know if they fixed the crashing game, but usually it just makes me angry when I see hits that are just absurd. So I don't bother using it. And I also use the Garbage Seller. Now, this is super nice because obviously you can sell all your incompatible equipment, your shells and stuff like that. So say you've sold a tank, moved on, you can go and remove the shells really easily with just 3 clicks. So it's very nice to have. You can also unanonymize on battle results, which is okay to have, to be fair. I've used it before. I don't use it at the moment. I go through phases with my mods, which sometimes I'll use them, sometimes I won't, which is why I'm making a video saying which I use and which I don't use. At the moment, it might be different from, let's say, a month from now. But hopefully everything in this should be in a month's time as well. But these are the 3 that I choose. Make sure that you always have the Hanger Booster Viewer because it's super important to know how long you actually have left, and you can quickly see with which booster you're going to run out on. Also, Little Helper Collection is probably my favorite mod in the game. It offers so much more clarity in the garage and just helpful features in the game. And now if we just keep scrolling down, there's not a lot more here that we need to worry about, but I do enable the crew voice override. This makes it go back to the default World of Tanks voiceover. Even for commanders that are special commanders like Daki, Skill, Dez, Circon, doesn't matter. All of these commanders get the nostalgic World of Tanks voice lines again. I have nothing against like the commanders, but I like the nostalgia of when I first played the game and those commanders' voices. Just the default male, which is what it's called on this, the voice lines. So that's why I choose that. And there is only really a few more things that we need to worry about. Down here, remove the annoying sounds from dead tanks. You'll hear a little kind of noise every time that a tank dies. I don't like that. Remove it. Disable the music in the marathon and disable the stun sound effect because that is so annoying. So I try and keep as much kind of mods in the mod pack because all of these can be done within Little Helper Collection. But I like to make sure that I choose these in the mod pack because then they are just loaded by default rather than having to go into game to enable them. And the final two mods, if we just keep scrolling down, actually final three, no dirt, very important. I love the camos in this game and I love getting different camos and customizing it, and just the dirt kind of ruins it in a way. So keep that enabled, that's nice. And finally, we can go to preferred server, so it will keep you on the last server that you joined. It's useful for clan wars because you'll always join EU2, for example, or you'll always join EU1 if it's a rank season. You can choose whichever your last server was on, that is what you'll load onto next time. So set the server and forget about it. Very, very useful. And finally, the UI scale by Goofy. It is beautiful, this UI scale, because you don't have to worry about the UI changing in the garage, which in my opinion, 1440p UI scale in the garage is perfect. But in game, you can change it to whatever you want. You could go to 200% if you really wanted to. And you could even go to like minus 50% if you really wanted to. So you can change absolutely everything. It's super nice to have. And that is it for the mods. Once you're done, just click next. And then you shouldn't have to click delete the game cache. Sometimes it can cause issues, but I'm going to click it this time just because it's a fresh kind of thing. I don't want to clear absolutely everything out of my game. So if you've never installed mods before, don't bother clicking this, okay? Just select these two. These two are very important that you select, but this one, not so much. Then just click next and install. And once you're done, you can support him on Patreon and, you know, donate or even activate XVM if you chose to use XVM in your settings. But click finish and then load up World of Tanks. And once you load up the game, you'll see that your garage looks a little bit different, especially if you installed the customization garage, which I can't get my hands on just yet. But you'll notice that there is a Marks of Excellence mod. By default, it's like in the middle of the screen. Just move it to wherever you want. I like mine down there. And you also see a booster view if you've got a clan booster on. The clan boosters are green and the personal ones are obviously this orange kind of color. So you can tell at a glance what one is going to run out. Now, the first thing that I would advise you to do is to press escape, choose the server that you want to have, and then you'll always log into that server from now on. So then you can Alt F4 and load up the game and it'll automatically put you into that server. No faffing around or anything like that. Next thing that you'll notice is the new menu down here, and you'll see options that you can choose from as well. Go into Champy's mod settings, and this is the Little Helper collection. What I like to select is disable the reward screens because I don't care if I've got a new decal for getting 6 Top Guns or something like that. It's just annoying. And then I also disable the promotional tank in the background of the garage, disable the teaser widget, disable the event banner, like this Art of Strategy event banner. We don't need it. Remove single tank parameters. That is very, very important because it puts all the parameters on the right-hand side into one kind of line and not into kind of different menus. Disable the ammunition warning, which is, I mean, you could do that manually anyway, but it's nice to have. And then you don't need to worry about disable the marathon music because that's already done. You don't need to worry about disable the stun effect because that's already done. And you don't need to do this kill peeps because it's already done. If you didn't choose that in the mod pack, then you could, of course, go and choose them here. The same as the auto log into the game. You can choose that from here. Next thing is to remove the dog tags because I don't really care about seeing them. Next up, enable all of these up here because it will stop these stupid pop-ups of, for example, if you're in an STRV, press X to go into siege mode. I know. Stop telling me. Or press F1 for hints, or press this button for checking your missions. It's just annoying. And it gets rid of all of these, so it's nice and clean. And then also enable these two because the show tooltip usage will let you basically hover over this and it will show all of the tanks instead of plus 24, for example. So that is very, very nice to have. And also total sales price on tooltip or in tooltip, you can click apply for this, and all that you have to do is click service record, go back to the garage, and everything will be changed. As you can see, you've now got a nice clean garage where all of your stats are just in one section, and you have no event banner down here. And also that show total price, if you go to depot, you'll be able to see how much everything costs in bulk. So for example, I have 4 improved hardenings here, and their total, if I want to sell all 4, is 1.2 million. So just at a glance, you can tell exactly how much everything is worth. As you can see, I've got 15.6 million in large repair kits. And we have quite a bit in, yeah, med kits as well, apparently. Anyway, you get what I mean. The next thing that I'm going to show you is the garbage seller. Now, here you can choose shells, premium, compatible with vehicles. And basically what this does is, let's say, for example, we want to play an EBR and we're going to go just no gold at all, right? Get rid of it. Those shells go to depot. From here, you can then just go to sell, and those 10 shells can be sold by just pressing this and this, and then you get the credits for those shells, rather than having to go all the way into the depot and selecting them manually to be sold. It's super useful if you're cleaning out your garage quite efficiently. So, for example, on all of my tier 10s at the moment, they don't have any ammo on them because I've removed them all and I've just sold it. It's super nice because you can just go through all of them and then you can just sell the ammo and you'll gain like millions. I'm not joking. Like if you have a load of tanks that you don't play, especially tier 10s, and like me, I have all of these sitting here, but I never really play them unless it's just for videos, to which point then I'll load the shells and put on some bounty equipment and make a video on them. There's no point of me keeping the shells there. I might as well sell them. So it's super easy to just go through all my tanks, click sell on all of them, and I gain like 1 million from it, or even more than that. I think the most that I gained was like 3 million from just selling all my ammo. So it's super nice to have. And if you do go into PY mod settings, you can change the announcer. You can obviously choose all of the different content creators, even the RU ones, if you so choose. But I do like the default one as it is nice and nostalgic.
Enemy armor is damaged. Got him.
Beautiful. So they are all my mods. For settings, I mean, I'm just going to go through these quickly. You can copy these down as you like. I'm not going to talk through them. You can choose if you want to have them or not. These are the settings that I run at the moment. Bearing in mind, I do have a powerful enough PC to run this. And yeah, this is everything. So hopefully this was useful to you. If it was, then let me know down in the comments down below. And yeah, if you did enjoy, you know what to do. And I'll see you all in the next video.